All right, we're back to take a look at the front pages of some of the select national dailies this morning to give you a sense of what are the biggest stories across the country this lovely, hazy Thursday morning. Let's start, as always, with the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper for today, Thursday, February 8, 2024. Abuja unsafe, according to the Nigerian Senate. I think they're catching up. I think they're eventually catching up with what we already know. 3 soldiers killed in Nasarawa. NSA seeks UK help for security. And by the way, talking about the Nigerian Senate yesterday, they were supposed to have an interactive session with the security chiefs, and the absence of the NSA, the Chief of Defense Staff, I think the head of the NSIA also, they've decided to postpone that interactive session. I wonder if all of them need to all be there at the same time, which would bring about some downtime, I believe, as far as running the security architecture is concerned. But the answers they were looking for, they couldn't even get it yesterday because they didn't make use of the IG, the Chief of Army Staff, the Chief of Air Staff, the Chief of Naval Staff, and the Director or General of the DSS yesterday when they showed up for that interactive session at the Nigerian Senate. Forex crisis, nothing for Nigeria as our crude oil sold in advance, according to is it the Nigeria Governors Forum or the Northern Governors Forum? Because we have to understand NGF could mean both at this point in time. But we will get to the details of that story a little later. But it's quite shocking to learn that yes, it is the Nigeria Governors Forum. It says nothing for Nigeria as our crude oil has been sold in advance. Is that even possible to sell something, in advance without necessarily digging it out of the ground first? Anyway, more on that on page 19. Senegal, US CDD condemn presidential poll shift. Yes, that is one of the most talked about developments across the region over the past couple of days. Looks like President Macky Sall is going to get that extension indirectly, as he promised he's not going to run for another term. But this, for the most part, looks like an extension of a presidency that is running out of time, but that still wants to stay in power. The big story: bandits threaten to marry bride, sell 62 wedding guests, demand 100 million naira ransom. You talk about banditry, you talk about it becoming prevalent at the community level, at the rural level, because these are people who have possibly not seen millions in their lives ever before. So you get to even wonder where the hundreds of millions going to come from. More on that disturbing development on page 4. And of course, the silver lining that is going to put a smile on our faces for as long as we continue to remember it. The Nigeria Super Eagles have beat South Africa to reach the finals, and it's going to be the finals that we all have anticipated since the group stages and the quarterfinals. We're going to face host Ivory Coast in the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations in Ivory Coast. Good luck to the Super Eagles, but for me, we have already won. We did it to South Africa, so that does it for me. But it would be nice to bring the trophy home also. And finally, 5 months after, Tinubu yet to replace recalled ambassadors. Ex-envoy says, we do things upside down in Nigeria. If you're not comfortable with that, downside up. Either way, this is not the proper way to do it. And I guess that's the message coming from him. The minister's aide, the Foreign Affairs Minister's aide, says, new ones to be announced soon. Of course he would say that. Of course he would say that. Let's take a look at the Punch newspaper next, as we, just wrap up quickly with regards to the papers, because they all have similar stories that they're running with. Tinubu inaugurates student loan scheme February 21st. It's supposed to be a January affair, but it's been pushed to February 21st. 500,000 jobs threatened over ban on sachet alcoholic drinks, according to the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. Well, I think the net negative of the sachet alcoholic drinks and things like that, based on what NAFDAC says, is what we should worry about. I mean, the jobs are also something, but how about the damage it is doing? Government approval delays Dangote refinery fuel. Why is that? More on page 21. Forex crisis. EFCC 7,000-man task force goes after dollar racketeers. Good luck. EFCC summons private varsity proprietors, companies, others charging dollar fees. Yeah, that's a very good one indeed. And government agencies violating law on Forex too. NESG tells Commission. Airlines promises compliance. And the man of the hour, Nwabali, shines as Nigeria beats South Africa to reach AFCON final. Yesterday, someone said if we're going to hold a presidential election, there's no doubt that Nwabali would be the president of Nigeria by this morning. But of course, that just to highlight the excitement that Nigerians got, a sigh of relief yesterday from that very engaging semi-final game with Bafana of South Africa. Time now to take a deeper dive into the papers and the stories this morning. Join us on the program is Maran Nasir Lawan, who I believe also watched the game yesterday, because I'm surprised if he didn't. I suppose he's in a good mood also today. That is one of the, it's surprising that that is the only cheerful story you can find across the papers this morning. So first and foremost, the game, and then what we understand is the usual run around with regards to the economy as the security situation continues to look like an unsolvable maths problem. Abuja unsafe, according to the Nigerian Senate. Yesterday, also, we learned in Nasarawa State, because of a communal clash, soldiers were attacked, 3 were killed, 2 vigilante operatives were also killed, and the NSA is seeking for partnership, looking for help in the United Kingdom. What do you make of this, circus that has become an everyday affair in Nigeria?
Honestly, sometimes you wish, we are not having to deal with issues such as this, because when you talk about, the lives of people, and then you are talking about still, at the planning level, the government is still trying to see what it can do to stop all these killings. And the problem really for me is the fact that, our soldiers are all over the place. Honestly, if we're able to get the police and the other sister security agencies to do some of the, the things that we are putting our soldiers to do, honestly.
So you say that, it's a failure of the police that, forced the hand of the government to deploy the soldiers, that, the gaps were just one too many, that it looks overwhelming for the Nigerian police to handle. And that's why our soldiers are deployed across the 36 states of the Federation in different theater of operations.
Well, sadly, this is the problem of deploying the soldiers, because right now in Nigeria, in about 34 or so states, the soldiers are in deployment, which shouldn't be the case. Honestly, if you look at the role that the soldiers are supposed to play, they are not supposed to be all over the place handling communal clashes and what have you. They are actually there to protect the integrity of the nation, which should involve, external aggression and what have you. But if the argument is to say the police are being overwhelmed, then why don't we address that? Because so many people are still arguing the fact that we need more hands in our policing architecture, so that the community policing that we are now trying to come up with, the constabulary and what have you, honestly, if we can get that right, then we can allow our soldiers to focus on what is more important for them. But right now, we are turning them basically into some policemen. The allegations that you hear today, soldiers, maybe accusations, allegations of collecting bribes and what have you, it's because we have, exposed them to the things that, our police were open to. So if we are able to do that, honestly, I don't see why our soldiers should remain in deployment, across the states and be susceptible to attacks by
yeah,
every time.
quite an unacceptable scenario. But what do you make of the missed opportunity? I mean, the Senate yesterday wanted all the service chiefs in one place so that they can ask them questions, all the security heads in one place. A majority of them were there. The Inspector General of Police was there, the Chief of Army Staff was there, the Chief of Naval Staff was there, the Chief of Air Staff was there, the Chief of Defense Staff was not, the NSA was not there, the DSA boss was there, the NSIA chief was not there. So I think three individuals were not there, and the Senate decided they were not going to have the interactive session until all of them are, available for questioning. What do you think of that posture in itself? Because it doesn't look like, utilizing, whatever explanation they could get at that moment.
Certainly, I think it's a lost opportunity because what do you expect the NSA to tell you that is going to be remarkably different from what the Chief of Army Staff, the DG, SSS, and the likes? What do you expect them to tell you? Yeah, so honestly, we should have gone ahead to hear from them. But right now, the Senate, probably because the invitation in the first place, was just window dressing and what have you, because we are talking about insecurity. How do you even expect, to start with, how do you even expect to have all these heads of security agencies at the same place at this very particular moment? It's very difficult because, if really they are working, then honestly,
they
wouldn't have time to come to the Senate and say things that basically Nigerians are not even
privy to.
Because what we want is to see the results of what they are doing. It's not about the Senate trying to invite them to hear from them and what have you. That's not, I think, the job that the Senate should be playing right now.
Forex crisis, the Nigeria Governors Forum is saying that we should expect nothing because all the crude that we're going to produce has been sold in advance. I mean, I'm not surprised that it is happening, but I'm surprised that someone let it actually happen. What should Nigerians make of this?
Well, the Forex crisis actually is the ones that are really enjoying it at the moment are the governors, somehow, because anytime the dollar is selling, at this exorbitant rate, it means they're getting more money, even though they get it in Naira, and they don't care what your Naira will be able to buy for you, because if you look at the trajectory of the FAC allocations, they have been sharing a trillion, close to $1 trillion or above $1 trillion Naira because of the dollar rate that is, so many people are even arguing that that is not the true value, of the dollar. But because these governors are some of the people that are being accused of going after this foreign currency to move them from the market, and that is part of the reasons why there is some form of a scarcity of the dollar, and then all the rates that we are hearing about. As far the selling of our crude oil, even before we take it to the market, what do you expect? All this cash swap thing that we are talking about, it means we have told some people, or we have entered into agreement with some people that, look, all these things that we have, even before you can pay for them, so that even at the point of production, you just take ownership. So,
is there no chance that we get shortchanged because we know that the price of crude oil could go up, especially because of the global tensions, whether it's in the Middle East or the Russia-Ukraine situation? So, if we sell it ahead of time at, say, $70 a barrel, right? What are the chances that if it goes to $80 a barrel, that we're not losing $10 on top of every barrel that we sell?
Probably we have to do this because we had no other alternatives. But honestly, we'll be shortchanged, like you said. If, for instance, the oil should start, selling at $100 plus, what do you expect? So those who have taken control of this will be the ones that will be enjoying, while the country will be at the receiving end. So honestly, I expect the government to always play its role. All these things you hear about the government giving tax break to some people, tax holidays and what have you, giving some companies, the right to build roads. Why should that be the case? We have institutions that are responsible for these particular things that we are getting our companies to do. So honestly, the government should just focus on collecting what is due to it so that it can discharge all the functions and other responsibilities that we expect from it.
That's quite the traditional way to go about it. Developments in Senegal has caught the attention of the rest of the world. Condemnation has trailed the official because the National Assembly in Senegal has pretty much ratified this extension. They're talking about December. What? Time is running out for Macky Sall, and this looks like an indirect, 10-year elongation for him. Not even indirect, directly now. He gets to stay in power. What do you make of what's happening? Because Senegal has been stable for quite some time now. It's one of the shining, glories of, democratic experiment in the region.
Well, I think ECOWAS should worry about developments in Senegal, because if you look at the current situation in the region, Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, and what have you, all have quit the regional body. And if we allow Senegal to continue along this trajectory, then you cannot predict what is likely to happen.
A military coup?
Well, nobody is saying that, but we are like trying to give the military, all the loopholes, that they can all the reasons to come into the political stage and say, because maybe the president has run out of ideas and they want, transition to happen, so they are intervening and what have you. So honestly, ECOWAS will try and handle this clearly so that nobody will, in the end, give the soldiers the chance that some of them are actually looking for to come back to power.
And briefly before we run out of time, 5 months after the president recalled career and non-career ambassadors, they have not been replaced. So our diplomatic corps is depleted and there's no plan apparently to replace them. One of the ex-envoys said we like doing things downside up or upside down, even though we heard from the minister's aide that an announcement will be made soon. I mean, does this signpost the lack of commitment to, establishing bilateral relations with all the other countries that want to do business with us? Because if we don't have these ambassadors there who are usually, the point men to negotiations and things like that, what does that say?
Well, maybe we have some diplomatic, officials in the embassies that can still play some role. But honestly, it doesn't give good notice to their respective countries. If we are not ready to replace these ambassadors, why remove them in the first place? Is it because we don't have the money to pay them? Is it, something must have happened. But honestly, I don't think this is good for the image of the government, because if, like I said, you are not ready with their replacements, why the rush to bring them back?
Finally, let's end on a good note. We rarely get to, talk about good things in the news. The Super Eagles are in the AFCON final. If you ask me, this is them exceeding expectations, because prior to that, they were not even in the conversation as favorites. But if you watched the game last night, what are your takeaways from it, and what do you expect in the finals against the host Ivory Coast?
Well, I expect Nigeria to win. Like you said earlier, I actually watched it. Even though I was not happy. It was nerve-wracking, wasn't it? Yeah, with some of the officiating, actually. I know it's human error, it can happen. But honestly, I also hear Nigerians talking about the fact that we shouldn't allow South Africa to beat us because they have succeeded in taking over the grimy.
Yes, exactly.
Our own people.
So it was more than just one game.
Yeah, so honestly, I think it's a good thing, and it's actually a temporary respite, to all the doom and gloom stories that we get to hear in Nigeria. And I hope we get to bring the cup.
Good for Vice President Kashim Shettima too, because it would have come back to him if we had lost. Some said Peter Obi was there, we won. So if
Hi, Nigerians.
exactly, we're always trying to make connections.
Yes.
But congratulations to Nigeria, indeed. We did deserve that victory against Bafana Bafana. We're going to have to leave it here for Nasi. Thank you most kindly for joining us on the program. As always, really do appreciate your insight on this one.
Thank you for having me.
Right.